way to hydrate on race day. Oh, my Lord.
Hello, Sharks. My name is Christina, and I'm seeking $200,000 in exchange for 10% of my company. Sharks, it's marathon day. The streets are bustling with runners, all with the united goal of crossing that finish line. But along the way, they are parched. They need to stay hydrated. At every hydration station, they grab a cup or two, take a mere sip of water, and then discard the cup to continue along the course. Look at that mess. Who's going to clean that up? Enter Hiccup. Hiccup offers a solution. We are a reusable cup service for aid stations at running events.
Oh.
We deliver these silicone cups, collect them post-race, and clean them for reuse at another event. With every event we serve, we are inching closer towards our ultimate goal, a world where cup waste in the running industry is a thing of the past. So, Sharks, who's ready to save the planet with me?
Great idea.
Yeah, really
Thank
good.
you.
We are back with another Shark Tank Breakdown episode. I am your host, Dave, 10-year intellectual property attorney, dealing with everything from patents, trademarks, copyrights, as well as trade secrets. Now, I guess this is an interesting one. And before I kind of get off into my initial thoughts, please hit a like button for the YouTube algorithm, as well as hit the subscribe button to be a part of the IP community. I would love to have you a part of the IP community where, in addition to these Shark Tank episodes, breakdown episodes, we bring people such as the Sharks on, kind of tell their story a little bit more in detail. Heck, I'll be actually at the ST24 reunion tour in Tampa, Florida this weekend, later on this weekend, where it's pretty much exclusively for Shark Tank participants coming back, kind of more of a business conference for them. But I'll be kind of taking my show on the road, doing exclusive podcasts with them. So it'll be fun. It'll be fun. So, definitely please hit that like button or the subscribe button so you can kind of get a little bit more kind of coverage on that, because I think that's going to be interesting and should be fun for me. But again, the three things that I look for, plus the bonus one: how simple is it? How effective is it? How is the market? And then how is the IP protected is more of a bonus one. So cups, pretty simple, effective. A lot of times the sales as well as the reviews are going to kind of tell on that. Then the market, clearly reusable cups. It's a big market. Now, it's a saturated market, but kind of we'll see if we kind of square that hole. The more they kind of talk about it, and I'm assuming that the Sharks are going to kind of try to peel back the layers on that. And then last but not least, this kind of bonus thing that I've added is the IP. Are you protecting the IP for your company? It can be trademarks. It can be patents to the extent that is something there. It can be copyrights or trade secrets. In this case, now I try to do a simple trademark search while she was talking. I didn't see anything on Hiccup. Actually, I did see things on Hiccup, but I didn't see anything for kind of reusable cups. The things that I've talked about or kind of came up for me is the theatrical presentations as well as computer programs, and I would imagine that those two don't apply to her. But again, these are just word marks to the extent that she has more of a logo that's protected. Those wouldn't kind of come up as clean in the search that I typically do. So again, she may still have trademarks on it, but I'll still try to get a trademark if I was her on the term Hiccup for reusable cups. And I'll be interested in knowing if the whole Hiccup theme helps you out for really getting hiccups. Because when I thought of the company Hiccup and whatever the case may be, I thought it was okay. These things help you avoid getting hiccups, or to the extent that you have hiccups, you kind of use the product. It kind of does away with those hiccups. But it seems like this is more of a kind of a bigger goal, which is kind of dealing with trying to kind of reduce waste from plastic, which is cool, and it can still do that in terms of kind of the Hiccup. Kind of doing away with that, but I didn't get that a sense of that, just at least in the initial pitch. So again, we'll see if she kind of answers that question, or if the Sharks asks, okay, how did you come up with the name Hiccup, and kind of based on kind of the cups, because like I said, I thought that had something to do with you having the hiccups and being able to kind of doing away with the hiccups, kind of using a product. So it seems like that's not the case. But again, how simple is it? Pretty simple as a cup. How effective is it? A lot of the times the sales and the reviews will kind of determine that. So we'll see her take on that as we get off into it. What's the market like? Like I said, reusable cups, it's pretty saturated market, but if her reusable cup is doing something different than other reusable cups, then maybe it's something on that. And then the IP, again, maybe she has a patent on the cup, the reusable cup. Like I said, I didn't see anything on the trademark front that popped up in my system, but maybe she has a logo, which, like I said, those kind of tougher to pop up on the test system that I kind of use. So it's still hope that she has trademark or some type of IP on it. I would love to know your guys' thoughts on it. Again, we came up with two. We're coming from two episodes that were big dogs with the flashlight as well as the bro glow. So we'll see if this third one is still kind of trending up, or if it's maybe not as strong as the other two. So we'll get off into it. Let me get back, pull it up here, and here we go. See what the sharks think about it. Let's go.
I've done a number of marathons.
Oh, awesome.
I'm usually the one at the back. And by the time I'm getting there, I'm running over all the cups.
Yeah, and
They're-
it's such a sad
But Christina,
scene.
when I go to a marathon, the people giving me the water, that's something that the marathon is absorbing the cost for. So they're
Yes.
paying for the paper cups. What is the price difference to the organizer with your cup versus a paper cup?
So I charge 15 cents per cup, and we rent them out by the thousands.
How does it compare to paper?
Paper is probably 7 cents a cup right now. After 10,000 cups are rented, we lower the cost to 10 cents per cup for all of the preceding.
That's closer, but it's still 30%
Well,
more.
the proof is in the pudding. How much
Yeah.
do you have in sales?
Walk us through your
So last year I did $67,000 in sales. And
67,000.
yes,
So what's the most cups you've ever sold to a race?
50,000 cups.
50,000 cups is how much in revenue to you?
So that would be $6,500.
How big do you think you can be?
I think I could be really big with the right partnership.
Is it
How
just
big is
you
really
right
big
now?
though? How big is really big?
How big is really big? 2 million cups for the world major marathons.
Are you a marathoner? How did you come up with this idea?
I came up with the idea after I ran a marathon in California. And when I flew home, I drank coffee and water every time the beverage cart came through. I drank 6 cups, and I did the math. The Boeing 737, I believe, had 180 passengers. And I just thought back to the race I ran the day prior, and they used 150,000 cups within
And
6
that made
hours.
you say, oh, Eureka, I need to come up with something that stops all the waste of all the paper cups.
So at the time, I worked on a tugboat, and I watched a lot of Shark Tank. So I was always coming
Worked
up
on a tugboat and watched a lot of
I was
Shark
always
Tank.
coming up with $1 million ideas. And so I had recently gotten married 2 months prior, and I knew that you could rent out china, you could rent out chairs. And so I thought there had to already be the service for renting cups at a race, and there wasn't.
So I want to get back to the 2 million number you threw out there. Does that mean the Boston Marathon, arguably one of the most famous on earth, they burned through 2 million cups?
Yes, as
2
well
million.
as Chicago and London.
So do you have any of those marathons in this deal?
So I piloted at the Chicago Marathon with the inventory I did
So
have.
why haven't you gone to sponsors and put their logos on this cup?
Because I've honestly been kind of busy washing the cups.
That's the answer?
That's
You've
the
been
answer,
busy?
yes.
Wait, how
It's a
many
one-man
people
show.
are working with you? Who's on your
It's
team?
just me.
Listen, the way that you really can really make a lot of money, find a sponsor that goes across races, whether it's a beverage company, whether it's a snack company, whether it's a bank. That's the opportunity.
Look, I love marathons. When I did my first marathon, my friend and I were arguing about the power of the mind. And he said, I bet you without training, you couldn't run a marathon. I'd never run a marathon. And this was on a Thursday. So I found a marathon on Saturday in Arizona, and I show up, and there's like 50 people at this marathon. And it starts, and I'm like, yes! And I get to mile 8, and I'm like, I'm gonna qualify for Boston in my first marathon. Mile 15, I'm in the middle of the desert. There's nobody around me. I'm walking. I don't know what to do. I cross the street. I start hitchhiking. A guy picks me up. I'm sitting there. I'm exhausted. And he goes, aren't you the guy from Shark Tank?
That's great. The guy took him to the finish line. He popped out.
And I won. Look, there's definitely a demand here. I just don't know how you're going to scale enough to make it a large business. I don't see the investment possibility. I wish you all the luck, but it's not for me. I'm out.
And I do want to, as Robert goes out, I do want to say, I actually like the idea that Mr. Wonderful talked about, because these cups are reusable. And it seems like she's a one-man band, which maybe she need to kind of come up with a process for kind of washing a ton of cups, and maybe she can get that patented But again, to be able to put sponsors' name on the cup so that kind of people can kind of see, that's going to add to the revenue stream, which I think will help her out. As far as kind of being able to help out with the revenue stream. So I love that idea that Mr. Wonderful gave. And I just, from an interesting standpoint, $1 million ideal kind of selling cups, clearly with the Boston Marathon, Chicago Marathon. I think she mentioned one in London with kind of flights, things like that. They're probably going to go with just a cheaper option. If you're a 10 cents or 15 cents compared to somebody selling them for $7, it's going to be hard to kind of crack into that. But from a sponsor standpoint, I do think that will help her out. And maybe the sponsor can help her get into some of these marathons or on these flights, kind of use her cups that are reusable. So those are just some of my initial thoughts. I would love to see what some of the other sharks kind of say about it. I'm kind of starting to lean towards Robert as far as the scalability of this one maybe isn't there, which is cool. As I talked about in previous videos. Just because you don't have $1 million idea, that doesn't necessarily mean you can't make a ton of money. And I'm considering hundreds of thousands of dollars as a ton of money. And again, it's just her, as she mentioned. She's a one-man band, which now I understand because it seems like it's maybe not enough money to kind of start bringing in other people. But that's something that she may kind of want to think about, because if you're washing the cups, if you're trying to sell the cups, again, it's just a lot that you're doing that's capital or not time intensive, that kind of prevents you from trying to scale the business. And when you are talking to investors such as Mr. Wonderful, you give them an answer like, okay, I haven't done this because I've been busy doing what? They're like, I don't want to hear that. That's just not a good enough excuse. So I do understand that point of it, that he's that Mr. Wonderful said is like, that's your excuse. But again, when you're a one-man band, it's tough. And that's some of the challenges when you are a startup company. You're trying to kind of deal with the numbers, but also try to grow the company. It can be tough, especially if the money is not as plentiful as you would have hoped. So those are some of my thoughts. Let's get back to it. Let's see what the other sharks think about this one before we wrap this one up. Let's go.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you.
I get the essence of the business. I think it's admirable that you care about the environment. I think you're an amazing, gritty person who could do anything, but it's not really the right business for me. So I'm sorry. I wish you good luck, but I'm out.
Thank you, Lori.
Christina, the reason I love this show is I get to be here and witness amazing human beings that coming up with solutions, rolling up their sleeves, and being entrepreneurial. This is just a really beautiful thing to witness. I think you're very early in your journey, and I do think you're going to figure it out, but it's not a very scalable business. I don't know how I could contribute, so for those reasons I'm out, but I'm really, really grateful to be able to be here with you and to see.
Let me interpret that for you.
Thank you, Daniel.
Let me interpret that for you. Hiccup sucks.
No, it doesn't.
No,
It's a horrible business. It's a horrible business. I like, listen, they're not going to give you a dime. I love this. Yeah. Keep going. Do not keep going. Shut this thing down. You obviously have talents you can pursue. This sucks. I'm
Christina,
out.
this is one of those deals when you came out and said, I'm like, that makes perfect sense, right?
Absolutely.
There's an absolute need for it. The companies that put together these races don't like the sustainability problems they cause, right? That's not the issue, right? The issue is it's not a big enough business for an investor. It is a great business for you. And I think once you lock in a big marathon, they're not going anywhere else because you made their lives a lot easier. So they're repeat customers every single year. And so your business won't go like that straight up, but it'll be a nice gradual grow. And by the time you look around, you'll have 30% of the market and be making $1 million a year. The problem is, I don't know how much bigger that you can get than 30% of the market. So for those reasons, I'm out.
Thanks.
I don't know. I think at the end of the day, you'll be just like Robert, hitchhiking in the middle of the desert. I really.
Oh my God, Kevin.
Don't
That
listen
is
to
so
I
mean.
tell you to stop being a jerk, but
That
what
is the
would
biggest
you do?
compliment you can get, because if Kevin hates it, you
I
know it's a
really
great
hate it.
idea.
Very true.
Congratulations, Christina.
This isn't the end for Hiccup because I have a lot.
And again, I think what Mark said was great. And that's what I was saying at the beginning. Like I said, I don't watch these things ahead of time. I try to give you my real authentic actions in real time. I think what Mark said is great. Some businesses, unfortunately, they're just not scalable. That doesn't mean you can't make a ton of money. It just means that you probably won't make tens of millions of dollars or millions of dollars. Heck, if you have a business grossing 1 million, you're taking home 200,000-300,000 of that, or 100,000 of it. That may be good. What they say, the average income in the US is 50, 60 grand or whatever the case may be. So if you can make 100 grand, 150 grand with your business, doing something that you love that has a higher purpose, or your higher purpose of calling, then I think that's still a worthwhile advice, a worthwhile business. And again, to Mark's point, it's just probably not scalable from an investor standpoint, but you can still make a ton of money. So again, kudos to Mark for saying that, because I do think he was right in that. Kevin is definitely a lot more harsh, like, hey, call it one, close it in, close down shop, and do something else. I guess you got some decisions to make. I think her name was Christina. And kudos to Christina, because she's from Michigan. So for those of you who don't know, I am here in Michigan, in the Detroit metro area. And Christina, I think she was from Michigan. I had saw as I was kind of looking this company. Yep. So again, kudos to Christina. I had to try to get her on a show and see what she thought about Mr. Wonderful's comments compared to Mark's. I think she's going to keep going, and I think, as Mark talked about, it's going to be a slow grow. It's not going to be one of these things that's a rocket ship, but it seems like it could be a slow grow. You get 30%, 40% of the market, then you can tend to make a good amount of money, especially if you're talking about getting sponsors. So let me pull up the website here, because there's some things that as I was looking at this website ahead of time, that I actually really like. Now, again, I don't know if she has trademark. And to the extent, Christina, if you see this, give me a call, because we definitely need to trademark this term, and I can work with you on this. I can work with you on this. I'm not sure if, to the extent that it's already trademarked, then don't worry about it. But again, I didn't hear you talk about it being trademarked on the show, nor did I hear you nor does the website kind of say anything about it being trademarked. And again, even typically the website will say something about the Shark Tank, as seen on Shark Tank, which I'm not kind of seeing. Yeah, this looks like Christina here. Like I said, I thought it had something to do with doing away with hiccups. But as you can tell, she's kind of growing, as Mark talked about. It's going to be a slow growth, but if you look at these things, it's all the races that she's doing by state. So you have the Abbott 5K in Chicago, the Chicago Marathon. So she seems like she's kind of plugged in with Chicago Marathon, which seems like it's a big one. Pennsylvania, you have the Mushroom Cap Half Marathon. New York, you have 5K and a 10K. So again, she has all the states that she's a part of, and obviously Michigan is kind of one of the bigger ones, I think, since she's from Michigan. And then Florida seems like she has doing a ton in Florida. But I even like the fact that you're showing the different 5Ks, 10Ks, marathons that you're a part of on the website. I think that's a creative way to do it, to let people know, hey, we're out here. We're kind of doing a thing, and we're not just some company that is trying to figure it out. We have done races, as you see the term races served so far. And I think she'll continue to grow, not only here in the U.S., but I think abroad as well, which I think is going to be beneficial to her. And I think the fact that once she starts getting these sponsors, she'll make even more money. So Christina Smith is the founder. Seems like, again, still a one-man band. Let me see if she... It's just her, man. So you gotta love the drive and the hustle, and the fact that she's doing it for a bigger purpose. Again, as Mark talked about, it's not going to be probably a scalable business, but that's okay. I've literally helped a gentleman who was a masonry, and I told this story before, get a patent on his water slide, protect his water slide from potential people who are trying to infringe, and he's going on and selling this thing, making hundreds of thousands of dollars a day, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, selling this thing on Amazon and so forth. So again, this is not something that probably he's going to be able to scale and all of a sudden make $10 million plus. But again, to the fact that he can make $600-700 grand a year, which he has been doing for a number of years, able to quit his job as a masonry, get a nice big pole barn, get a house built, brand new house built off the lake. Again, this can't be life-changing money. Not everything is going to be a home run or something that's a rocket ship. But if you can have something that you like doing, that you have a passion for, and you think it's kind of serving this broader goal or purpose, and you can make money off of it, it may be a slow growth, but you can make money off of it. To me, that's still looked at as a win. I know Gary Vee say it's a win, so you guys have to let me know your thoughts of it, to the extent that you're a big marathon runner. I'm definitely not a marathon runner or a 5K runner or a 10K. Now, I work out, but I'm typically not kind of running marathons, as I kind of don't typically like to run for the sake of running. I kind of do my cardio in like competitions, whether it's basketball, things like that. So, but to the extent that you kind of came across Hiccup and Christina, and kind of let me know how you like the product. To the extent that you're a marathon or event planner and you use the product, let me know how you like the product. Leave your comments in the comment section. Please hit a like button for the YouTube algorithm, as well as hit the subscribe button to be a part of the IP community. I'm going to definitely reach out to Christina, try to get on a program to kind of tell her story and kind of where she has been going since Shark Tank. So again, this was a pretty good one, definitely informative from the Sharks, which I think is another good reason to go to it. And see you guys next time. Peace.